The Christmas tree lights twinkled in the living room, casting warm shadows across the dining table. Mom had outdone herself: turkey, stuffing, mashed potatoes, the works. 18 people crowded around the extended table. My parents, my older brother Marcus and his wife Chelsea, my younger sister Ivy, various aunts, uncles, and cousins. I sat at the far end, next to cousin Tim, picking at my green beans. "So, Zoe," Uncle Richard said loudly from the middle of the table, "still living at home at 27. That's ... something." I forced a smile. "Yeah, still here." "Must be nice," he continued. "Free rent, home-cooked meals, no real responsibilities." "I pay rent," I said quietly. "How much?" Marcus asked, his tone sharp. He'd moved out at 22 and never let me forget it. "That's between me and Mom and Dad." "Probably nothing," Chelsea muttered, just loud enough for everyone to hear. "My sister pays $1,800 a month for a studio, but I'm sure living with your parents is just as hard." A few people chuckled. "Zoe contributes," Mom said, but her voice lacked conviction, like she was going through the motions of defending me. "Does she, though?" Marcus pressed, "Because it looks to me like she's got a pretty sweet setup. No real bills, no pressure to actually launch into adulthood." "I have bills." "Phone bill your parents probably pay," Ivy interrupted. She was 23, lived in a trendy apartment downtown, and loved reminding everyone how independent she was. "Car insurance, they probably cover. It's basically like being a teenager forever." "That's not fair," I said, my voice tight. Dad set down his fork with a decisive clink. "Actually, Zoe, your sister, has a point. Your mother and I have been discussing this. We think it's time you start paying real rent. Market rate." The table went quiet. "I already pay rent." "You pay $400 a month," Dad said. "That barely covers utilities. We're talking real rent, comparable to what you'd pay elsewhere, at least $1,200. Starting January 1st, Mom added. Not meeting my eyes. My stomach dropped. "That's a 200% increase, with 8 days' notice." "It's fair," Marcus said. "More than fair. Try finding a place in this city for $1,200. If you can't afford it," Dad continued, "then maybe it's time to consider other living arrangements. You're 27, Zoe. Most people your age have been living independently for years." "I agree," Aunt Linda said, joining the pylon. "My daughter moved out at 22. Got her own place, her own life. It's what adults do." "Exactly," Chelsea said. "Living with your parents past 25 is it's embarrassing." I looked around the table, at the family I'd grown up with. Not one person was defending me. Not one. "Okay," I said quietly. Dad blinked. "Okay. If you want me to move out, I'll move out." "Now, Zoe, no one's saying you have to move out," Mom started. "Yes, you are. You're tripling my rent with a week's notice. That's effectively evicting me with politeness. We're just asking you to contribute fairly, I understand." "And you're right. It's time for me to go." I stood up, folding my napkin. "Thank you for dinner. Merry Christmas." "Zoe, sit down," Dad said. "You're being dramatic." "I'm being realistic." "You want me out? I'm out. I'll start packing tonight." "Good," Marcus said. "It's about time." I walked out of the dining room, grabbed my coat from the hall closet, and left through the front door. Behind me, I heard Mom say, "Well, that was childish." I sat in my car for a moment, hands shaking, trying to breathe. Then I pulled out my phone and opened my banking app. Automatic payment. Parents. Mortgage $2,847 month status. Active. Next payment. January 1st. I clicked cancel. Confirmation. Payment scheduled for January 1st has been canceled. No further automatic payments will be processed. I took a screenshot. Next payment. Automatic payment. Parents. Property tax. $618 month cancel. Next. Automatic payment. Parents home Inc. menos $285 entre MNT cancel. Next, automatic payment. Parents HOA feeds $220 month cancel. Next, automatic payment. Parents utility account. $340 por metro ent. Cancel. Total cancelled. $4,310 per month. I'd been paying it all for 3 years and 2 months, since the day Dad's company downsized and he took a 60% pay cut, since Mom's part-time bookkeeping business dried up, since they came to me, desperate, asking if I could help out, temporarily. Temporarily had become 38 months, $163,780 total. I'd paid it quietly, never mentioned it to Marcus or Ivy. Never asked for recognition, just set up automatic payments and watched my savings account drain while my parents told everyone I was living off them rent-free. The $400 a month they claimed I paid? That was for groceries, my own food, because I'd insisted on contributing something they could mention publicly. But the real money, the money that kept them in their house, kept the lights on, kept them comfortable, that was invisible. Secret. Something they'd asked me never to tell anyone because they were embarrassed. I'd honored that, protected their pride, and they'd just humiliated me at Christmas dinner in front of 18 people. I drove to my friend Kelsey's apartment across town. She answered the door in Christmas pajamas, holding a glass of wine. Zoe, what's wrong? Can I stay here tonight? Of course. What happened? I told her everything about the dinner. The rent demand. The public humiliation. Jesus Christ, Kelsey said. Your family is awful. They don't know about the payments. They think I'm actually freeloading. So tell them. I can't. My parents made me promise not to. They didn't want Marcus and Ivy to know they needed help. Then they shouldn't have publicly shamed you. Kelsey poured me wine. What are you going to do? I canceled all the automatic payments. She froze. All of them. Every single one. Mortgage, property tax, insurance, HOA, utilities, everything. When do they typically process? First of the month. They'll try to pull the funds on January 1st and find nothing authorized. I checked my phone. It was 8:47 p.m. on Christmas Day. They'll probably get notification emails overnight. By tomorrow morning, they'll know. Good, Kelsey said firmly. Let them panic. Let them realize what you were actually doing. I feel sick. You feel guilty, which is different. You didn't do anything wrong, Zoe. They did. My phone started buzzing. Mom calling. Primera, declined. Dad calling. Declined. Marcus calling. Declined. A text from Mom. Zoe, please come back. You're being unreasonable. We can discuss this like adults. I turned off my phone. I woke up on Kelsey's couch to the sound of pounding on her apartment door. Zoe. Dad's voice. Zoe, I know you're in there. We need to talk. Kelsey appeared from her bedroom, looking furious. It's 6:47 a.m., the day after Christmas. Are they serious? Apparently. More pounding. Zoe. This is important. Open the door. Kelsey marched to the door and opened it. Mr. Palmer. It's not even 7 in the morning. I need to speak with my daughter. Your daughter doesn't want to speak with you. This is urgent. There's been some kind of banking error. Not an error. I called from the couch. I canceled the payments. Dad pushed past Kelsey. You what? I canceled the automatic payments I've been making on your house. Mortgage, property tax, insurance, HOA, utilities, all of Italiano. His face went white. You can't do that. Those payments are due on January 1st. But they're not my payments, Dad. They're yours, your house, your responsibility. We had an agreement. We had an agreement where I helped temporarily and you appreciated it. Not an agreement where you got to publicly humiliate me while I subsidized your lifestyle. That's not what happened. Really? Because 18 people heard you tell me I was freeloading, heard Marcus and Ivy and everyone else mock me for living at home. No one mentioned that I was paying $4,310 a month to keep you afloat. You promised not to tell anyone, and you promised to appreciate what I was doing. You promised this was temporary. It's been over 3 years, Dad. Mom appeared behind him in the hallway, looking frantic. Zoe, please. We got the cancellation notices. Do you know what this means? The mortgage payment is due in 5 days. We don't have $2,847. Then I guess you'll need to figure something out. But how? We can't, Mom. You've had 3 years to figure out your finances. I gave you 3 years of breathing room, and instead of using that time to adjust your budget or downsize or find a solution, you just let me carry you, while telling everyone I was the burden. We never said you were a burden, you let everyone else say it. My voice cracked. You sat there at Christmas dinner while your family tore me apart, called me embarrassing, said I was freeloading. And you said nothing, worse than nothing, you agreed. You told me to pay $1,200 a month when I was already paying over $4,000. You didn't think I'd stop. You got comfortable. You took me for granted. I stood up. I'm done being taken for granted. Zoe, please, Dad said, and I heard something new in his voice. Fear? We'll lose the house. The mortgage company will foreclose if we miss payments. Then don't miss them. Pay your own bills like adults. We can't afford not my problem anymore. You'd really let us lose our home after everything we've done for you. I laughed. It sounded bitter even to my ears. Everything you've done for me. Like what, Dad? Raising me? That's baseline parenting. That's not something I owe you for decades later. We gave you a place to live that I paid for. I paid your entire mortgage for 3 years, but you lived there too. In 1 bedroom? That somehow justified $4,310 a month. Dad, market rate for a room in a shared house is maybe $800. I was paying 5 times that, and you still called me a freeloader. He had no response. You need to leave, Kelsey said firmly. Both of you. Now. This isn't your business, Dad started. You made it my business when you showed up at my door at 7 in the morning harassing my guest. Leave, or I'm calling the police. They left, but not before Mom whispered, Please, Zoe. Just restart the payments. We can talk about everything else later. I closed the door in her face. My phone stayed off for 2 days. When I finally turned it on, I had 127 missed calls and 89 text messages. Mom, please call us. We're desperate. Dad, the bank is threatening foreclosure proceedings. You can't do this. Marcus, what the hell is going on? Mom says you've been paying their mortgage. Ivy, is it true you were paying everything? Why didn't anyone tell me? Mom, we're sorry. We made a mistake. Please, just restart the payments, and we can discuss everything. Dad, I'm meeting with a financial advisor today, but we need your help to get through this month. Marcus, call me. I need to understand what's happening. Unknown number. This is your parents' mortgage company. We're attempting to reach you regarding account 447-293-842-847. Please call us at... I deleted them all, except Marcus's messages. I called him Zoe. Jesus Christ. Where have you been? Kelsey's apartment. Mom and Dad are freaking out. They're saying you've been paying their bills for 3 years. I have been. Why didn't you tell anyone? They asked me not to. They were embarrassed. So you just paid $4,300 a month for 3 years. Yes. How did you even afford that? I'm a senior software engineer. Marcus, I make $143,000 a year. I could afford it. Silence. You make $143,000. His voice was small. Yes. Mom and Dad said you worked in IT support, low-level stuff. I work in cybersecurity architecture. I design security systems for financial institutions. I've been promoted 3 times in 5 years, but you always seemed so... double quotes, broke, struggling. That's because I was paying mom and dad's bills. Every extra cent went to keeping them in their house. Why would you do that? Because they needed help and I could help. That's what family does. But you let us think? I let you think what you wanted to think. You decided I was a loser living at home. I never corrected you because mom and dad begged me not to tell anyone about their financial problems. So, at Christmas, when dad demanded you pay more rent, he was asking me to pay more on top of the $4,310 I was already secretly paying. Fuck. Marcus exhaled. Zoe, that's insane. And they just let you? They encouraged me. Every month, mom would thank me for helping temporarily. And every month, I'd pay Picta, because I thought we were family. I thought family helped each other. We are family, are we? Because family doesn't sit silent while their sister gets mocked at Christmas dinner. Family doesn't pile on with insults. Family doesn't call each other embarrassing. I didn't know. You didn't care to know. None of you did. It was easier to believe I was a failure than to wonder why I was still living at home. He was quiet for a long moment. What are you going to do? I'm going to live my life. Get an apartment. Stop subsidizing people who don't appreciate it. Mom and dad are going to lose the house. That's their problem, not mine. Zoe, they're our parents, and I'm their daughter, who they humiliated publicly, who they took advantage of 4 years. I'm done, Marcus. I hung up. Day 3. The texts got desperate. Mom, the bank called, again. We're going into default. Please, Zoe, we raised you. We loved you. How can you do this to us? Dad, I spoke with a bankruptcy attorney. He says if we file, we'll lose everything. Is that what you want? To destroy your parents? Mom, your father is having panic attacks. He can't sleep. Please just resume the payments until we figure something out. Ivy, Mom told me everything. I had no idea. I'm so sorry for what I said at Christmas. Can we talk? I responded only to Ivy, not ready yet. Then I found a new apartment. One bed. In a nice building with a gym and a doorman. Rent was $1,950 less than half what I'd been paying for my parents' expenses. I signed the lease and moved in over New Year's weekend. Kelsey helped me unpack. How are you feeling? Lighter. Is that terrible? It's honest. She arranged books on my new shelf. Have you decided what to do about your parents? Nothing. They made their choices. They're still blowing up your phone. Every day. I blocked them yesterday. What about Marcus and Ivy? Ivy's apologized 14 times. Marcus is trying to guilt me into fixing everything. Neither of them is offering to help mom and dad themselves. Of course not. That would require actual sacrifice. My doorbell rang. I looked at Kelsey. I didn't give anyone this address. Want me to check? We'll both check. We looked through the peephole. Uncle Richard, how did he find me? I whispered. Probably followed you or bribed your landlord. Rich people are resourceful when they're meddling. I opened the door. Uncle Richard, Zoe. Nice place. He pushed past me uninvited. We need to talk about your parents. There's nothing to talk about. They're about to lose their home because of you. Because of themselves. They couldn't afford that house and they knew it. You're being selfish. Family helps family. I helped for 3 years. And now you're abandoning them when they need you most. I'm setting boundaries. There's a difference. He turned to face me, his expression hardening. Your parents are going to file bankruptcy. They'll lose the house, their credit will be destroyed, and they'll have to start over at 62 years old. Is that what you want? What I want is for people to stop acting like I'm the villain when I was the only one keeping them afloat. You're their daughter, and they're my parents. They're supposed to protect me, not exploit me. They're supposed to defend me when I'm being attacked, not join in. So this is revenge, punishing them for hurting your feelings. This is self-preservation. I can't keep sacrificing everything while being treated like nothing. Uncle Richard shook his head. You're making a mistake. Family is everything. Zoe, when you're alone someday, you'll regret this. I'd rather be alone than be used. He left without another word. 2 weeks later, I got a different kind of call. A financial advisor named Patricia Morgan. Ms. Palmer, I'm calling on behalf of your parents. They've hired me to help restructure their finances. Good for them. I've reviewed their situation. They're in dire straits, mortgage 3 weeks past due, property taxes unpaid, insurance lapsed. But there's a solution, which is they need to sell the house. It's too expensive for their current income. I've found them a nice 2-bedroom condo, lower cost, no maintenance, much more manageable. That sounds perfect. But they're refusing. They're emotionally attached to the house. Your mother says she raised her family there. Okay. Ms. Palmer, I've spoken with your siblings. Marcus and Ivy have admitted they can help financially. Marcus has his own mortgage and 2 kids in private school. Ivy just started a business that's barely breaking even. What's your point? My point is that you're the only one with the resources to help, and your parents are too proud to sell. They're convinced you'll resume the payments. I won't. Then they'll lose everything in foreclosure, which will net them nothing instead of the $180,000 in equity they could get from a sale. It's a lose-lose. Still not my problem. Patricia was quiet for a moment. You know what I think? I think you're right to be angry. What they did was wrong, but letting them crash entirely won't undo that wrong. It'll just create new problems. What do you suggest? 1 final payment. Cover January to prevent foreclosure. Give them breathing room to list the house and sell it properly. After that, you're done. Clean break. And if they refuse to sell, then foreclosure happens and you'll know you tried. But this way, you're giving them one last chance to salvage something. Not because they deserve it, but because you're better than they've given you credit for. I thought about it. 1 payment, I said finally. January only, and only if they sign a contract agreeing to list the house within 30 days. I'll draft something. Thank you, Ms. Palmer. Don't thank me yet. They might refuse. They didn't refuse. 3 days later, I received a contract signed by both parents. House listed by February 5th, sale to close by April 30th. No further financial requests to Zoe Palmer. I made one final payment. $4,310. The last money they'd ever get from me. Patricia called a week later. House is listed, already have 3 showings scheduled. Good. Your parents want to talk to you? No. Ms. Palmer, Patricia, I did what you asked. I gave them a way out, but I'm not giving them absolution. They need to live with what they did. Fair enough. The house sold in March, $820,000. After paying off the mortgage and closing costs, Mom and Dad netted $190,000. They bought a small condo, downsized, learned to live within their means, and I lived in my apartment, building a life they knew nothing about. Marcus called in April. The house closed. Mom and Dad are settled in the new place. Good. They're asking if you'll come to dinner. See the condo. No, Zoe. It's been for months. I don't care if it's been for years. I'm not ready. When will you be ready? Maybe never. Maybe someday. But not now. They miss you. They miss my money. That's not fair, isn't it? Did they ever apologize, Marcus? Actually apologize for how they treated me? Silence. That's what I thought. Ivy showed up at my apartment in May, with coffee and bagels. I come in peace, she said when I opened the door. How did you get my address? Patricia gave it to me, said you might be ready to talk. Patricia doesn't know me as well as she thinks. Can I come in? 5 minutes. If you hate me after 5 minutes, I'll leave and never bother you again. I let her in. We sat on my couch with the coffee and bagels between us. I'm sorry, Ivy said. For Christmas. For everything. I was a complete asshole. Yes, you were. I've been doing a lot of thinking about why I treated you that way. And honestly, I was jealous. Of what? Of you living at home. Of what I thought was you getting coddled. I was working 60-hour weeks to afford my apartment and my lifestyle, and I thought you had it easy. I wasn't coddled. I was paying their bills. I know that now, but I didn't then. And instead of asking, I assumed, and I joined everyone else in mocking you for it. You did. I can't undo that. But I want you to know, I see you now. I see what you did and what you sacrificed, and I think you're incredible. I felt tears threaten. You're just saying that. I'm not, Zoe. You paid $163,000 over 3 years to keep our parents in their house. You did that quietly, without recognition, while being treated like a That's not just generous, that's heroic. It was stupid. Maybe. But it was also loving, and they didn't deserve that love, but you gave it anyway. We sat in silence. Are you going to talk to them? Ivy asked. I don't know. Every time I think about it, I just feel angry. That's fair, but Zoe, they're different now. Losing the house, going through the downsizing, having to face their mistakes, it changed them. They're in therapy, both of them. Good for them. I'm just saying, when you're ready, I think they'll actually listen, actually apologize the way you deserve. I'll think about it. That's all I'm asking. She stood up. Can I hug you? I guess. We hugged. It felt strange and familiar all at once. After she left, I sat with my coffee and thought about forgiveness. About whether people deserved second chances. About whether I could give one without losing myself again. 6 months later, I met Mom and Dad at a coffee shop. Neutral territory. They looked older. Smaller, somehow, like the past year had aged them a decade. Zoe, Mom said, her voice breaking. Thank you for agreeing to meet. I'm not promising anything. We understand. Dad looked down at his hands. We wanted to apologize. Really apologize. Not because we want something, but because we owe you that. Okay, what we did at Christmas was unforgivable, Mom said. We let you be humiliated. We joined in that humiliation. And all while you were keeping us financially afloat. There's no excuse. We got comfortable, Dad added. Comfortable taking your help. Comfortable not acknowledging it. Comfortable letting you be the scapegoat because it was easier than admitting we'd failed. We did fail, Mom said. As parents, as people, we took your generosity and repaid it with cruelty. I was quiet. We're in therapy, Dad continued, learning about financial codependency and entitlement and all the ways we damaged you. It's hard work, facing what we did. The therapist asked us what we'd give up to have you back in our lives, Mom said, and we realized we'd already given up what mattered most to you, your trust, your respect, your presence. We don't expect you to forgive us, Dad said. We just wanted you to know. We see it now. We see what you did, what you sacrificed, what we destroyed. And we're sorry, Mom whispered, so deeply, endlessly sorry. I took a breath. I appreciate the apology. But, Dad prompted. But I'm still not ready. Maybe someday, but not yet. We understand, Mom said quickly. Take all the time you need. We'll be here when you're ready, if you're ever ready. And Zoe? Dad added, we're proud of you, of your career, your apparent, your independence. We should have said that years ago, but we were too caught up in our own shame to celebrate your success. Thank you, I said quietly. We finished our coffee in awkward silence. As I stood to leave, Mom touched my hand. One more thing. The $163,780 you paid. We're paying it back. What? It'll take time, Dad said. We're on a payment plan, $500 a month. It'll take 27 years at this rate. But we're doing it. Because it was never a gift, it was a debt, and we're going to repay it. I stared at them. You don't have to? Yes, we do, Mom said firmly. Not because you asked, but because it's right. You gave us 3 years of your life, and we gave you nothing but contempt. That changes now. I left the coffee shop in a daze. $500 a month. They'd probably be $85 before it was paid off. But they were trying. A year later, I sat in my apartment looking at my bank statement. There it was. Payment from David and Marie Palmer, $500. Month 12 of their repayment plan. $6,000 total so far. Only $157,780 to go. My phone buzzed. Ivy dinner this week. My treat. Me, sure. Ivy, Mom and Dad will be there. No pressure if you're not ready. I thought about it. Me, I'll be there. Because holding grudges was exhausting. Because people could change, even parents. Because family wasn't about who showed up once, it was about who kept showing up, even after everything broke. They'd broken my trust. But slowly, painfully, they were building it back. Not with words, with $500 a month for the next 27 years, with therapy and apologies, and the hard work of facing what they'd done. With the realization that I wasn't the problem. I'd never been the problem. I'd been the solution they'd taken for granted, but I wasn't their solution anymore. Now I was just their daughter, flawed, hurt, healing, but finally, seen.